Good morning, everyone. I'm excited to welcome you all today. Today, we're going to explore a fascinating topic, a tiger in the zoo. This is the first slide, which serves as our cover. We'll briefly look at what this presentation will cover, including themes of nature, captivity, and the tiger's story. So, let's get started and dive into this intriguing subject together. Now, moving on to slide 2, which covers the introduction section. Here, we're going to explore the poetic devices used in the poem. These devices are essential because they add depth and emotion to the poem, making it more engaging and meaningful for the reader. We'll look at how the poet employs various techniques like metaphors, similes, and alliteration to enhance the themes and mood. Understanding these devices helps us appreciate not just what the poem says, but how it says it, and why it resonates so strongly. As we connect these points to the overall theme of the presentation, you'll see how poetic devices serve as powerful tools for expression. So, let's delve into how these devices shape the poem's impact and bring its message to life. Today, I'd like to tell you about George Leslie Norris, a remarkable Welsh poet and short story writer. He was born on May 21, 1921, and sadly, he passed away on April 6, 2006. Norris was not only celebrated for his literary talent, but also for the recognition he received through various awards. Throughout his life, he taught at several academic institutions, both in Britain and the United States, including Brigham Young University. His work often reflects his Welsh roots and his deep connection to language and storytelling. Understanding his background helps us appreciate the richness and depth of his poetry and stories, which continue to influence writers today. In this slide, I want to focus on Leslie Norris's poem, which powerfully captures the agony and helplessness of a caged tiger. You see, the poet vividly describes the tiger's inner turmoil, emphasizing how trapped and confined it feels. But he also takes a moment to imagine what life could be like if the tiger were free, roaming in the wild, living as nature intended. This contrast helps us understand the profound impact that captivity can have on animals. Norris's words serve as a poignant reminder of the suffering caused when humans cage animals simply for entertainment or spectacle. It ties into our overall theme about the responsibilities we have towards animals and the importance of respecting their natural habitats. So, in this part of the poem, we start by describing a tiger that's truly beautiful. Imagine its striking stripes, each one unique, covering its sleek body. Its paws are soft and velvet-like, almost gentle to the touch. Despite this stunning appearance, the tiger isn't happy. In fact, it's quite angry about being confined in its little cage. This contrast between outer beauty and inner frustration really highlights a core theme of the poem. It shows us that appearances can be deceiving, and that true happiness isn't just about how something looks. Throughout the presentation, we're exploring how this imagery connects to larger ideas about freedom and inner fulfillment. When the poet talks about the tiger outside the cage, he paints a vivid picture of what the tiger's life might be like if it were free in the wild. He suggests that the tiger wouldn't be confined to a zoo enclosure, but would be hiding behind tall grass near water bodies, patiently waiting to catch its prey, which in this case is the deer. This highlights the natural instincts of the tiger, emphasizing how it's built for a life of hunting and survival in the wild. The poet also mentions that if the tiger were free, it would have been a source of terror for the villagers living near the forest. This point reminds us of the powerful and sometimes dangerous presence of wild animals when they're not contained. Overall, this slide connects to the larger theme of understanding nature's true essence and the importance of respecting the natural behaviors of animals. It shows us that the confinement of animals limits their natural instincts and, in a way, deprives us of witnessing their true nature. But the reality is totally opposite to this. He was confined in a cage made of strong building material, and he was helpless there. You see, despite his reputation as a powerful predator, he couldn't show his strength to the visitors. Because of this confinement, he never had the chance to terrorize or impress anyone. This highlights an important point about the true nature of the tiger. It's not just about appearance or reputation, but about freedom and natural behavior. It reminds us that the real essence of such majestic creatures can only be understood when they're allowed to live as they naturally would, not when they're confined behind bars. The tiger, as described by the poet, is portrayed as being powerless and filled with anguish. You see, during the night, he is all alone, contemplating his situation. He hears the distant sound of police patrol vehicles, which adds to his sense of vulnerability and fear. At the same time, he gazes up at the stars, perhaps longing for freedom or a different life. The poet emphasizes how captivity has completely transformed the tiger's personality. His natural strength and fierceness are overshadowed by his suffering and helplessness. This portrayal highlights the tragic impact of confinement, not just physically, but emotionally and psychologically. It reminds us of the profound toll that captivity takes on wild animals, connecting to the broader theme of the presentation about the importance of respecting and preserving natural habitats. So, what the poet is really trying to tell us here is that the tiger, an animal known all over the world for its fearlessness and spirit of freedom, is unfortunately confined and quite sad. And this sadness isn't because of any natural reason, but because of human beings. We often take pleasure in observing these majestic creatures, but in doing so, we keep them locked up in cages, like in zoos. This scene highlights a stark contrast: the tiger's natural wildness versus its current captive state. It makes us think about how our desire for entertainment and curiosity can have a real impact on these animals' lives. It's a reminder that, while we may find joy in watching them, we should also be aware of the cost, their freedom and happiness. This connects to the overall theme of the presentation, which is about understanding our impact on the natural world and the importance of respecting the creatures that share our planet. Now, let's explore some poetic devices that can really bring our writing to life. First, onomatopoeia. This is when words imitate sounds. Think of how a snarling dog sounds or the crackle of fire. It helps create a vivid sensory experience for the reader. Next, we have repetition, which involves repeating words or phrases within the same line. For example, on pads of velvet quiet in his quiet rage, or and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. Repetition emphasizes a point and adds rhythm to the poem or story. Then there's alliteration, where the same consonant sound is repeated at the beginning of words close to each other. For example, he s talks in his vivid s-tripes, or but he is locked in a c-concrete cl. Alliteration can make phrases more memorable and musical. Overall, these devices, onomatopoeia, repetition, and alliteration, are powerful tools in poetry and prose. They help convey mood, emphasize ideas, and create a more engaging, memorable reading experience. Connecting these to our broader theme, they remind us how sound and rhythm can enhance the emotional impact of our writing. And that brings us to the end. Thank you all for your time and attention today. We've covered a lot of ground, from key concepts to practical applications. Remember, the main takeaway is to stay engaged and apply what you've learned. Your involvement makes all the difference in achieving success. Once again, thank you for being part of this journey. I look forward to seeing how you implement these ideas moving forward. Thanks so much, and have a great day.